Whether it's rifle or pistol, the most under-practiced skill in fundamental shooting is your vision. If you're not properly practicing where to focus and where to ultimately raise that gun into view, then in my opinion, you're doing yourself a disservice. So we're gonna break down how specifically we like to practice drills focusing on your vision. Let's get into it. So anything we talk about in today's video is going to apply to dry fire. We're going to be shooting some live fire demonstrations to really drive these points home. And it's going to come to that first shot as well as your follow-up shots. What are we trying to focus on? When we're practicing on, let's say, a blank IPSC brown target like this, I like to put something up to really draw my vision in, because that's going to emphasize the point of these drills. Having a distinct spot on the target that we're focusing on and then raising the gun into view, whether it's rifle or pistol, is going to be paramount. When we're talking about vision, we really want to focus on focal vision. Focal vision can take upwards of 3 seconds to fully develop. So we're staring at a small part of the target, and then our hands, feet getting set, everything else is working independently, and I'm locked in on that small part of the target. Here I have just a small black pasty to draw my eyes in. That's what I'm focusing on. And then I'm going to raise the dot into view, stopping at the point of that black dot. So I focus in, hard focus in, bring the gun up, that dot settles right where I need it to. When we're practicing, especially with the pistol, there's a deceleration period that we want to develop. And traditionally with iron sights, guys will teach, bring that gun up to your eyes and then establish that rear and front sight picture. To me, that is wasted movement and simply doesn't complement the points we're trying to make with this focal vision. I'm focusing on a small part, everything else is moving up, and then bam, it's there. I tend to break the shot off much sooner when I bring the gun into view. Now this is gonna be, personal preference. Practice this at home, let me know what you think. Starting with the rifle, because it's simply easier. We have 4 points of contact. The dot settles much easier than the pistol. So primarily what we're gonna focus on, I'm not gonna go over in depth how I'm mounting this rifle necessarily. I'm just starting below the target. You can start from different angles. You can be a little bit more compressed. You can be more at the base of the target. You can even cheat it a little bit more. The principles don't change here. We're just raising that dot into view. I'm gonna hard focus on that black square. I'm going to raise the dot into view, and then I'm gonna pull the trigger. Now, due to height over bore, I'm gonna be hitting a little bit low, but you guys get the idea. If I was gonna account for the height over bore, I would aim higher, but that's not the point of the drill. I'm really focusing on my focal vision, black dot comes into view, I see that red, boom, I pulled the trigger. Now there's gonna be different levels of confirmation that I'm gonna have with my dot. For this drill in particular, I'm gonna have a little bit more of a hard sight picture with that dot before I pull the trigger, so my groups are a little bit tighter. I can speed that up based on the size of the target and the distance to the target. Overdrove that time. I'm gonna assess that, try to fix it for the next rep. Same issue. .83. So not crazy fast. We're super close up. I'm not, breaking any world records here, but I am well with under a second for all of those shots. So let's walk up to the target here, and what we're looking at is quite a bit of a spread, but that's going to be dictated upon how much of a confirmation you have with that dot. But we're going to have a little bit of a holdover here. All these are me, right? That's me fluctuating, but well within that A zone. So it's going to be dependent on that size of the target, distance of the target. I can push this significantly faster, shave these times in half easily from this distance. The point of the drill, focus hard on that black dot, bring that dot into view. There's a couple times there where I was losing focus of that dot. If we take into account adrenaline dump, tunnel vision, working in our favor, hard focus on an individual, and then bang, 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 that's kind of what we're trying to replicate here. Differences with the pistol are going to be simply, I only have 2 points of contact now, a lot more deviation, a lot more influence and input I can put into the gun. doesn't change for me even if I'm drawing. So you guys notice when I was coming from this low ready, I'm raising it into view. Of course I practice from different positions, but again, I'm raising it into view, rifle or pistol. That's my goal when I'm engaging a threat. So even if I'm drawing, you guys notice I marry my support hand up sooner and then I'm raising that dot into view. I find a lot of consistency with this, focusing on that black square and then boom, red right on it. If I'm coming from, if from the draw, same thing here. And then if I'm practicing and developing the draw, I'm gonna practice from the point where I'm marrying my support hand up with the gun, raising it in a view. So I start out of the holster. This is where I love teaching holster work from out of the holster to start. And then it tends to translate a lot better because I know where my support hand is meeting up and then I'm establishing my grip, presenting up. So let's fire one round with the pistol. Not looking to break any world records here, just simply raising it up into view, and then I'm gonna assess how is my focus, is that dot landing where I want it to, and we'll go from there. .154. You guys notice the deceleration right at the end there, 140. Stumbled on that, 171. .140. If I want to open this up more, I can speed things up, no problem. But if you guys come up to the target here, notice all my rounds are, pretty hard confirmation on the dot. And then any little input I put into that is going to be thrown off. Speeding things up, that spreads out, of course. But again, what's the focus of today's video? Focal vision on that black dot. Let's talk about multiple rounds now. So I'm not going to jump right into predictive shooting where I have a good mount. I'm predicting where that dot is going to land and I'm just staring at that black dot that doesn't change even though my red dot is superimposed on it. Easy to get distracted with the dot, but I want to look through it. I like Scott Jedlinski's explanation of this. It's like a bug gets splattered on your windshield. You don't stare at the smudge mark, you're still looking at the road. That's what we're trying to really emphasize with today's video. I'm superimposing that dot on the black square, but I'm hyper-focused on that black square and nothing else. So when I'm shooting multiple rounds, I can shoot predictively, but that's more assessing my mount or my grip with my pistol more than it is necessarily my vision. So for today's drill, what I want to do is I want that dot to settle each time, super focused on that black dot. So it's going to be a little bit slower. I could rapid fire here, but again, we're focused on our vision here. Make sure we still got rounds here. All right, I'll just shoot a string of 4. .158. .157. And then I'll shoot 3 there because I can't count. And 129 with 3 rounds. So the point is, we're really trying to assess where the dot's landing. Hard to show you that on camera, only you can see it when you're firing. That's why I really believe in self-discovery, practicing these drills on your own so you can self-assess. What I'm looking for is when that dot settles, is it settling predictively? Of course, that's what I want. That's a good mount, that's indicative of that. But I'm focusing hard on that dot, or on that square, and that dot is in that same general location, so my groups are a lot tighter than they would be if I really start ripping these rounds off. Assessing grip on the pistol is going to be something we're going to cover in depth in another video. For now, same drill, 4 rounds with the pistol, focused on that black square, and then I'm just going to assess and report to you guys, what am I seeing with my dot? Is it settling in? You guys notice my cadence with the gun. Is it settling back predictably each time? And are my groups relatively tight from this distance? Because it should be, given this isn't super far distance, and we're really trying to just stay on that black square as much as possible. I'm gonna work out of the holster just so I can focus again on raising that gun into view. .222. .193. Same thing for all those, relatively consistent. Bang, 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 bang. Dot is settling on that black for each of those. Speeding things up, it's gonna be predictive, it's gonna be a flash of red. Let's walk up to the target here and assess. So obviously hold over with the rifle. I had one kind of sneak low for me on the pistol, but for the most part, we're relatively in that zone I'm trying to stay within. We can keep it tighter, we can slow things down, we can speed things up, but it's not so much about speed as it is what am I seeing? What am I seeing? What is my dot doing? And then the other side of it would be, is my grip allowing me to keep those groups tight because it's a predictive pattern for my slide to go back to the rear and back forward. This is again, hyper focused on that black square. You back things up, you speed things up, it gets much more challenging. For today's video, what I want you guys to do, dry fire or live fire, you're gonna take something, really small target, a light switch or an outlet in your house, and you're gonna hyper focus on that while you work your draw and see where that dot's settling. Then I want you to work as if you're working multiple shot patterns, keeping that grip established on those small objects in your house. You come out to the range, validate some of that stuff, and I think you will see the benefits. Focal vision, hyper focus on that single item, bring that gun into view, bring that rifle into view, and you're gonna see better results. Guys, with that is gonna conclude today's video. If you like what you heard, make sure you hit that thumbs up. You wanna see future content like this, make sure you subscribe. And if you have any thoughts or opinions, make sure you leave them down in the comments down below. We appreciate you. Cool.